Awesome. Okay. Well, welcome and thanks for coming to this webinar at Hike SEO. Today, we'll be talking about what's been happening in the SEO sphere the last 12 months, some of the major changes in Google's algorithm, and also what's to come. And this is based on predictions from multiple SEO experts around the world. So this is all future trends. May happen, it may not, but predictions based on most likely scenarios. So my name is Gabriel. If you haven't already met me or been on my webinars here at Hike, the SEO manager at Hike, and been doing SEO for the past over a decade now. So lots has changed, and especially in the last 12 months. So what we'll cover is Google updates and the effects those Google updates had on websites in general across industries. And we'll be talking also about what's changed in the last 12 months and 2024. So the rest of this year, whatever's remaining, the predictions for how SEO might be impacted with the changing technologies and AI and all of that. And then also how to use the Hike SEO platform in various ways to start implementing some of those changes that we talk about and take control of your SEO. And then we'll leave it open to questions from you guys. So if you do have any questions as we go through, pop them in the chat. And at the end, I'll go through the chat and go through in order and answer your questions. And we can also go from there. So what is a Google update? Most of you might be aware already, but some of you might be complete beginners, so I'm just going to go through it. So Google update basically refers to changes in Google search algorithms or policies that are aimed at providing search result quality and relevance for users. So every time they update, it's going to refine their system so it will deliver better results for the user. And ultimately, that's what they want. They want to deliver the best customer experience possible so people keep using Google and keep trusting Google, because that's what it's all about. It's about trust. And so as they refine their algorithms and they keep delivering quality search results, people will keep coming back. So things are always changing on the web, so that's why they need to keep updating, especially with AI. And these updates can significantly impact website rankings and traffic. Sometimes they're minor updates, so you might not see much of a difference. And also, it can affect different industries, different types of websites. So it can range from minor tweaks all the way to major updates on their side. And so we'll go through some of these that have happened over the last 12 months. So we'll start out in February 2023. And this was the product reviews update. That's what it's known as. And the purpose and impact of this update was it emphasized the importance of firsthand experiences in reviews. So obviously cutting down on fake reviews, cutting down on lots of spammy reviews, things like that. And it also affected how product reviews are ranked in Google. So if there's any like specific reviews about a product, the ones that are genuinely firsthand experiences of people with their opinions about that product were generally prioritized. So obviously the pages with personalized language, firsthand experiences, and those pages were favored, and those were rewarded with higher rankings. So obviously this is there's different keywords, there's different ways the algorithm would pick that up. I'm not going to go into technicalities, but this is the general gist of it. So just basic bland reviews just wouldn't cut it anymore. So the strategy adjustment basically means like, what is it that webmasters, business owners, anyone with a website who wants better SEO, what do they have to do to keep up with this update or to counteract it if it did affect them? So basically, the main thing is if you do product reviews or you have product reviews, You want to make sure you incorporate more detailed product information, include multiple sellers, and disclose contributors to improve rankings and align with Google's guidelines. So that's the main thing. Just be more transparent about it, be more real about it, more firsthand experiences rather than generalized ones. So then, a month later, March 2023, Core Update got launched. So this one aimed to prioritize web pages that provided more value to the user. And this targeted basically all content types across regions and impacted Google Discover and featured snippets in general. So that's the main thing there. And what the strategy adjustment here would be is to basically update any existing content on the website that reflects the most recent up-to-date information in that industry, and also adhere to the EEAT rules, the experience, the customer experience, the expertise, the authority, and trust. That's what those letters stand for. And basically making it more quality for the end user so that when they read it, they're going to trust it. They're going to feel like it's coming from an authoritative source, and they have a great experience using it. And also addressed issues like broken links and duplicate content. So again, fixing any 404 errors on your site, any duplicate content, make sure that's taken care of with canonical tags, or combining multiple posts into one main post, things like that, or redirecting old content if it's not used anymore to the new pages. Simple fixes, but it goes a long way. And it also emphasized content creation for human readers. So again, if you're not doing this already, then definitely get on this. But there's still companies out there that create, spammy content and just robot written stuff that just doesn't really appeal or isn't relevant for the end user, especially the targeted keywords. It's always important to know your audience really well and then create tailored content for them in the tone of voice of your brand, with specific experiences, especially with like industry experts, and have their opinions in there. That's becoming more and more important for Google. And then ensure content reliability and ease of navigation on all devices. So obviously, Google is mobile first. So making sure that the website is responsive, the content looks good on both mobile, tablet, and desktop, and it's easy to read across those devices. So then a month later, another update came, the reviews update in April. And the purpose and impact for this one, it focused on experience signals within reviews. So basically how users interacted with them and the signals that Google looked at there. And emphasized importance of providing high quality content with direct knowledge and evidence of experience. So similar to the previous updates, but it just refined that further. And it required reviews to include elements such as images, audio, reliable links from reliable sources, and statistics to enhance the credibility and relevance of those reviews, basically providing more trust and authority to that content. So then the strategy adjustment here would be to basically enhance the credibility with phrases like, hey, in my experience or my opinion, or from the industry that I've worked in for the past decade, I think X, Y, and Z. And then include more rich media like visuals, images, original photos and diagrams, audio, even embed videos you can, and reliable links from trusted and credible sources. And that will all enhance the content credibility and quality in Google's eyes. So make sure to use thorough research when you create content, cite the sources, and also include qualitative data to support the reviews that you have. So that's all really important. And then prioritize honesty, impartiality, and actionable advice. So obviously, This comes down to the experience and trust of the user. We want honest opinions. We want companies to give us impartial advice, like no bias there, and something that's practical that we can apply as well. So ultimately, optimize reviews for Google's latest guidelines. So then, a few months later, September 2023 came along, and we have the helpful content update. So this is the one a lot of SEO experts are talking about, pretty major one. And the purpose and impact for this one was to improve the content quality and the user experience in search results. So it's quite broad and blanketed many different aspects. But basically, this is basics. And again, we need to make sure that we're not doing this because this goes against Google's guidelines anyways, but it discourages tactics like faking content freshness. So what that means is, like, let's say you have a blog post and it's dated, 2019, and then you go into the CMS and you change the date to 2023, just so it looks new. But that's faking content freshness. If you want real content freshness, you're going to create, let's say, rewrite the article and republish it as a brand new one, or replace the content, something like that. Another one that discourages against is lending domain authority to third parties. For example, like if someone wants to, let's say you buy a domain and you use that domain from that domain authority, and you basically link to your domain to boost its domain authority. I mean, again, that's discouraged practice. Rather, you build up your domain authority to make sure that you come from high authority backlinks, trustworthy backlinks from relevant sources. And that will eventually boost your domain authority, rather than buying up old domains and then redirecting them. And also publishing irrelevant content. If you're in a specific business niche, you should publish content around that topic or that niche and interview experts with that expertise, etc. If it's completely irrelevant, then it doesn't really have much credibility or authority behind it either. It also emphasized prioritizing original, helpful content created for users. So original meaning, like, is that something that you can't generally find on the web quite easily? Meaning, is that not like common knowledge? If it's original, it means that it's coming from a specific user experience. It's coming from a specific viewpoint. Maybe that's some research study done. Maybe it's a specific industry knowledge that hasn't yet been shared in the industry, things like that. And make it helpful, make it practical to apply, make it useful and valuable for the end user. So that was a pretty major update. And the strategy adjustment would be to focus on producing helpful, reliable content that adds value and that satisfies the user's intent. So basically, in other words, it means when you're creating a page around a specific keyword, make sure that the content you write is about that keyword, about that topic, and doesn't go off point or off tangent. And make sure it adds value to the user, adds specific practical steps and information that they can start using right away, and that it's unique enough so that they can't necessarily go to, let's say, a competitor and get that same information. So that's really important as well. Analyze the content quality and eliminate SEO-focused pieces. So again, write for the humans first, write for your audience first, and then search engines, rather than optimizing for search engines first and then writing for humans. So that's the mindset we all have to think about when we create content. Always write for the audience first. So you're not going to go in there and stick random keywords in there because you want to, enhance the ranking. No, you'd rather write something that's really, really valuable and relevant to the user. And then, yeah, you might tweak a few things here and there. And then also emphasize expertise and authenticity. So let's say you have some industry experts. So share some of those specific opinions or experiences with your users, because people trust it when it comes from a direct source, especially when it's someone that they can identify with and someone with experience in that industry. Also, over-reliance on AI-generated content. So with all these tools out there, it's easy to click a button and then copy and paste. While that may be okay in some cases, with SEO, you want to make sure to adjust that content to fit your tone of voice, to add specific examples, stuff that you can't really get from AI, which is human experiences or industry experience. And you want to make sure it's unique as well, because everyone else is using AI as well, so it'd be quite similar. So people first content, where someone might need to be interviewed, or maybe they have their advice shared on there. Things like that are prioritized. And then also block indexing of third-party content. So let's say you have a website and you syndicate some news in your industry. Make sure that's blocked, because it's just going to interfere with the rankings and it's going to compete with the original content. So just make sure you do that, especially if it's not your content. Make sure you source it back to the original and all of that. So just de-index that. So you want to make sure you create your own unique content that's original. Then October comes around and we have another core update as well as some spam updates. So this one basically focuses on refining the search results quality, weeding out basically any spam sites, any spam content, any low quality thin content that might be still in the search results. And this obviously could lead to significant ranking volatility across various verticals, especially those sites that are still relying on, spammy techniques or low quality content. So obviously this probably doesn't apply to most people on this call, because we're all, creating amazing quality content. But just keep that in mind if you do kind of fall to that convenience level of trying to create really quick content that might not be that high quality. Invest a bit more time into it. Invest a bit more research into creating really good content that will rank. So the strategy adjustment, take more of a holistic approach to website quality and consider factors beyond just individual page optimization. So look at the technical side of your website. Make sure that there's no issues going on there. Look at the structure of your site and how you've structured the hierarchy of topics. Look at the user experience and how easy it is for your users to use it, to navigate around, things like that. There's so many factors in SEO that we need to take into consideration. So like I said, mobile friendliness as well, speed, loading speed, all of these things come into play, especially moving forwards. Then November came around and we had another core and reviews update. And this one basically introduced some improvements, such as the hidden gems feature. And this feature basically highlighted valuable content from unexpected sources and emphasized unique perspectives and expert opinions. So you can start seeing a pattern across all of these updates in the last 12 months. A lot of them have similarities. A lot of them have the same things, but a bit more refined every time. Again, refining search results quality, weeding out any spammy sites and content. So again, just slight tweaks every time they launch a new update. So the strategy adjustment here would be similar. Create genuinely helpful, unique content and adhere to Google's best practices in terms of SEO. Make sure you just follow those guidelines and you'll be fine. And then March 2024 came around, which was quite recent, another core update. And the purpose and impact for that was to aim to combat spam again and prioritize helpful, unique, and relevant content. So again, similar patterns as before, targeted low quality and unoriginal content, clickbait practices. So for those who don't know what that means, is kind of deceptive titles that when you click on it, the content is different than what the title means, or we've all fallen prey to these over the years. And also manipulative behaviors on the sites, trying to get people to opt in, or intrusive things, pop-ups, things like that. It also introduced additional factors like content generated by AI and also outdated content as well, and targeted small AI content sites as well. So if, let's say, a site completely relied on AI content for their generated from the tool directly, they could have seen an impact in the rankings there. So the strategy adjustment here would be to focus on creating genuinely useful and original content and prioritizing content quality, originality, depth, and depth meaning like go really into like be really comprehensive in all the topics within that focus topic. Like leave no stone unturned if possible. And the best way to do that, here's an expert tip, is to look at what is performing well in the top, let's say, 5 positions. Look at those articles. What are they covering? What questions are they answering? Things like that. And then you can get a really good picture as to what you need to cover in yours, but come with your unique perspective as well. And then, yeah, overall, just focus on the EEAT, the customer experience, the user experience, the expertise. So bring in like industry experts, specific opinions, the authority of the content, like the credibility, linking to trustworthy sources, and trust. What's the trust factor as well? All of that. So that's for the last 12 months. And you can see there's been a lot of updates, a lot of things Google has been doing behind the scenes to refine the search results. And that's obviously affected businesses across the world, websites, rankings, everything. So it's been a busy year. So overall, what's changed in SEO in 2023? Let me just summarize that in a few points. But basically, in general, it's been described as one of the most transformative years in SEO. And here's why. So a lot of you might have heard of the SGE, or Google Search Generative Experience. And here's a screenshot, actually, how it looks for those of you who might have tried the beta or have done some research, already know about it. But basically, it's like the AI version of Google, where you can just ask a question, a very specific question that involves logic as well, or a comparison of things, and it'll give you like an AI answer that's really specific to that. And it's really cool because you can have a conversation with Google, because you can ask a follow-up here, and then it will ask in context of that. It will provide some suggested follow-up questions that you can ask, so you can continue getting more and more information about that, which is really, really useful. So for those of you who haven't tried it, you can try it. There's certain, I think you have to join the beta program for that, but I think the plan is for them to eventually roll it out, or I've heard that they might charge for it at some point, but that's just rumors. So let's see how that goes. So let's go to the next one. Another big one is Google's Bard, which is now known as Gemini, because they upgraded their model. And it's basically it's kind of like ChatGPT, OpenAI's version of ChatGPT. And basically, again, it's conversational. You can ask it anything. And so, for example, in this one, I asked, what is Hike SEO, or what does it offer? And basically already knew about what Hike is and some of the main features and benefits, which is cool. So yeah, Gemini model came out as well. So this helps content creators as well in creating interesting content. Maybe they need to quickly research something to understand it, and then go from there. And then another big change is a shift in Google's stance on AI content quality, because there's a lot of AI tools that produce mediocre to low quality AI content, but there's also ones that are really good. Ultimately, Google says they reward high quality content, no matter how it's produced, whether it's a human, whether it's a machine, it really doesn't matter to them as long as it adheres to the EAT, the expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness guidelines. So as long as you can do that, AI is a game. And again, think about your user and how they respond to that. So you might have to tweak it to your audience. So let's look at some of the future predictions. So these are based on basically a lot of SEO experts out there. I kind of combined a bunch from different sites that had these predictions. So I want to go through 9 of them. And it'd be interesting to see what we can prepare, how we can prepare for these in the future. So we'll go through each one. So first one is continued SERP volatility. So basically what that means in simple terms is like the search engine result pages, they're quite volatile, especially with these algorithm updates. And so you might see your one of your pages in the top results for a few days or for few weeks, and then drops out, or might be high rankings and then kind of drops down quite a bit. There's going to be lots going on, especially if it's a competitive niche. So Google will continue to have ongoing struggles to understand user intent. I mean, I think that will always be the case until it reaches human level and beyond intelligence, or can read our minds. And that will lead to continued fluctuations in the rankings, and it will continue leading to new updates that they'll be releasing. So some of the actions that you can take is to make sure that the content that you create aligns as closely as possible with what your audience is expecting. So both in intent, like what the topic is, also from knowing your audience's needs, pain points, desires, all of that, really knowing your audience and what they expect to see in that content. And then choosing relevant keywords that you can clearly identify search intent. So not choosing keywords that are quite vague and you're not sure why someone is searching for it, but if it's very specific, you know that's what they're looking for, and you can provide an answer and value for that. Number 2, on-site signals emphasis. So basically, this includes bounce rates and time on page. So bounce rates is basically the percentage of people that leave a page once arriving and not interacting with that page or staying on it for a certain amount of time. So the opposite of bounce rate is engagement rate. So it's always, so if let's say the bounce rate was 10%, engagement rate would be 90%. Because in the new Google Analytics 4, they focus on engagement rate, whereas the universal analytics focused on bounce rate. So it's more positive spin, more positive metric to focus on, but it's just the opposites. Time on page is how long a user spends on that page. So if it's a long article and it's really engaging, they're going to spend longer on there. So that's a signal that shows Google that it's relevant and it's high quality. So all of these will gain significance in ranking algorithms, and it highlights the importance of user experience. So if you take anything from this at all, it's make sure you focus on the user experience and the user first. And that's what Google's all about. So the actions you can take here is to create engaging content to keep bounce rates low and users longer on the page. So more media, more engaging visuals, content, user experience, design, anything that will keep people there and wanting more and learning more about it. So enhancing the user experience with valuable, relevant content, great UX, and ease of use across different devices, especially when people switch between, let's say, their mobile phone and then they switch on their laptop, and then maybe they pop over to their tablet. It's a multi-user kind of experience now. Now, in terms of number 3, it's the rise of expertise in digital PR. So digital PR strategies will now prioritize, or might prioritize content that shows expertise. So we saw this in the last 12 months with many of the updates. And this necessitates professionals to validate their efforts through expert tips. So when they give a tip, they might add a source or based on personal experience or research or whatnot. So gather expert tips, insights, and opinions on relevant topics. So you've seen these posts a lot, like, the top 10 industry experts roundup on a specific topic or question. And ensure that the content includes actionable advice, practical tips, and strategies that the readers can implement in their own lives or their businesses. Number 4, Reddit's influence in search. So a lot of you have probably used Reddit in the past or known of it, but basically it's kind of like a community platform where there's different topics or different sections or forums on there where people can talk about very niche topics and share questions, answers, insights, things like that. So Reddit's visibility in search results will grow and this indicates a shift towards more diverse content sources rather than just like blogs or websites. And this requires tailored engagement strategies and such. Some of the actions that you can apply is to recognize that the types of content that perform well. So maybe you want to experiment with some content on Reddit, for example. And then you want to also research and identify relevant subreddits or subtopics, in other words, where your audience, your target audience is most active. And then you can actively participate in discussions and show your expertise and authority within that community. And that can help indirectly boost like visibility to those, to you as the expert, and indirectly if you have links back, pointing back, it could influence your website as well. Number 5, the impact of social search. So platforms like TikTok is basically another kind of form of search engine in a sense, because you can search different hashtags or different topics. And these platforms may challenge Google's dominance. I mean, they have a long way to go because Google's been around and has a huge market share, but it will start blurring the line between search engines and social platforms, where more and more people can search for things on social rather than having to go on Google. So the key here is to experiment with developing short, engaging videos that are tailored to TikTok's audience, to your audience specifically on there, and then using relevant hashtags and keywords to optimize the TikTok content. And then align TikTok efforts with your overall SEO strategy. So there might be some crossover. You might be publishing specific articles, and then from that article, you can create a short video and share it on TikTok or vice versa. It's all possible. Number 6, AI evolution and concerns. So AI will continue to evolve and will help with data analysis and content creation, but there are concerns that are arising regarding to the impact of low quality AI generated content. I mean, this is already the case that's been happening. There's a lot of AI content that's been generated that seems to be making it to the top of Google, but when you actually read it, it's not that good. So Google's going to continue refining that so it filters out the low quality stuff. So make sure that you always prioritize quality over quantity when you use AI generated content or an AI tool. And that always will require us to remain actively involved in the content creation process. So editing, making sure it reaches the quality standards, verifying the accuracy of that information or any facts or figures, and then adding any unique insights that are from experts, from people. Number 7, increased SEO complexity. So SEO will become more and more challenging over time because it'll just become more and more complex with Google's algorithms being refined every month, every year, more and more, to prioritize the relevance of the content and adaptability. So we always need to be on top of what's been happening. How do I adapt my strategy so that I can deliver better content for my users and be in alignment with Google's best practices? So stay updated on the algorithm changes. So you guys are already on here, which is fantastic, learning about what's been happening. You can also go to the Google developer blog and you can read the latest updates there, and it explains. So you don't have to always wait for a webinar, but this kind of gives you a nice condensed package and version of everything that's been happening, focusing on user intent and relevance while you optimize for mobile and voice search. I mean, voice search is becoming more and more prevalent. People are using their phones, Siri, Alexa, Cortana, all of these different voice search. And basically, the key to identify voice search keywords is they're quite long, or they're mostly question-based. So those ones will start being used. So it's important to see if you can use some of those longer questions or those phrases in your content, especially like maybe there's an FAQ section, or maybe you have very specific posts that focus on a specific question. And then utilize data-driven insights for optimization. So use your Google Analytics for your Google Search Console and any tools that you might be using to look at any trends, any insights that you can glean from the data that you've collected, and see how that can change the way that you create content and the SEO strategy. Number 8, the growing importance of technical SEO. So this has always been really important in SEO, but it's becoming more and more so. Technical website aspects will become crucial for competitiveness and user experience. So no more can the old website from 1999, outrank necessarily the newest websites, because there's user experience involved. We're not gonna people don't have tolerance for the old stuff anymore. We want to see the newest, flashiest, most engaging content out there. So obviously keeping up to date with all of that is important for your optimization. So some of the actions you can do here is to regularly audit your website for technical issues. So you can use Hike SEO to do that, because it basically continually scans your site and sees if there's anything that you need to update or fix, and it'll tell you how long it takes. We'll go into that in a moment. Optimize site speed and mobile responsiveness. So you want to make sure your pages load really quickly and the pages look great on small screens, and it adapts to that. Implement structured data markup like schema.org. Maintain a clear and crawlable site architecture. So this needs to be constantly updated as you add more and more content. It's an evolution where you might have to create more detailed structures or more hierarchy levels or whatnot. And then monitoring website performance, and if there are any issues, address them promptly, making sure they're fixed quickly, and then it'll reflect in the search results. And then stay updated on technical SEO best practices. You can always go through some of the Learn SEO articles on our website, and that will go into some of the technical SEO aspects that you can start learning about. And finally, number 9, AI's influence on content. So AI tools will revolutionize content creation. I mean, it already has started to do that, but try to find the balance between automation and human expertise. That's the key here, because that's the differentiating factor here, because anyone can use an AI tool, but it'll pretty much generate the same or similar content. When you involve human expertise, that's where it's truly unique. And that will bring that value and the quality and the relevance to your audience. So make sure to test some AI tools, such as Hike SEO has many AI features. Understand the capabilities, and then make sure you clarify their role in your content strategy. How much will you use to create content? Maybe it's a percentage, lower or higher. Maybe use it to come up with ideas. But make sure you define that so you're clear on how it impacts your strategy. Make sure if you have a team, train your staff to use it more effectively, because it does require a certain skill set on how to use it. Just like any tool, it can only give you the value in proportion to how well you use it. So for example, the prompts, making sure that you're really good at prompt engineering, and coming up with exactly what you want it to give you. And reviewing and editing the AI content for quality, make sure it's up to your level of standards. So you might have to write a content standards guide or something like that where you can compare content against, and then monitor and refine it over time. So as it improves, you might have to do less and less editing, but over time, let's see how it goes with the tools evolving. So let's go quickly into Hike SEO. And I'll highlight a few of some of the AI features that we use. So when you go to find new keywords in the keyword research tool section, it will actually bring up suggested keywords based on the business niche that you or industry that you selected when you onboarded. And so that gives you a good starting point to start doing some keyword research if you're not sure what topic to go off of. So you can click on those and it will filter the keywords. So that's really useful. Another one is when it comes to mapping your keywords to pages. So this is where you have content on your site already, but you want to refine that content or focus it on a specific keyword, phrase, or topic. So here, the arrow shows this review column. And when you hover over it, if it's a check mark, it means that the keywords that you signed to that page closely aligns to it. And it will tell you why. So I give you a little paragraph here as to why it thinks it's a good match. Question mark. It might be questionable whether that's matching, so you might have to review those. And then if it's an hourglass or another icon, it will basically say it hasn't yet reviewed that, but I get it to scan it and check it. So that's a really useful feature if you want to take some of the guesswork out of it. But again, always use your judgment as to what you think is best. Another great feature is the content wizard. So this is our kind of version of the AI generated content. And it will generate up to 700 words of unique content that you can use to structure your blog post. And it's a good starting point. Again, it's not like a copy paste kind of thing. It'll give you a structure. And then from there, you can fill it in. You can remove stuff. You can add stuff. You can make it uniquely yours. Maybe add some expert opinions. Maybe add some studies from your industry, some research, whatever it is to make it unique and valuable for your audience. And then we have the action engine, which is really useful, especially from technical point of view. So Hike will basically outline any issues on the site, on the content, and then it'll give you kind of an action steps like this is why you need to fix it. This is what you need to fix. This is how you need to fix it. And this is how long it will take you roughly to fix it. And it'll give you like a progress as to how many hours you have during the week to actually action these. So it's really a useful feature, especially if you don't have much time, but you still want to make progress with your SEO. So thank you so much for staying on and watching this. I hope you guys had, liked it and found lots of interesting points. So I'm going to bring up the chat here, and if anyone has any questions, we can go through them. So I'm going to go to the top here. All right. Does anyone have a better list of Google updates, or do most people use this? Yeah, you can also use that one there, the Moz one. There's so many sources that already list like all the updates that Google is doing on all ongoing basis. Susan, should post dates always be shown for blog posts to show you are consistently posting? Not necessarily. I mean, typically Google will know whether it's a brand new post or not based on what it's indexed and when it's indexed and when it's discovered it as well. And also if you have a sitemap, an XML sitemap, it will actually list the last time that post was updated down to the minute. So that's another aspect. So you don't have to list it, but it's useful also from a user perspective because they can see, oh, this is a quite recent article. So it's quite recent in terms of the information. So it's always good to list it anyways. Are photos important for better rankings in blog posts? Um, Photos, yeah, definitely include photos to make it more engaging for the audience, but also you can, if you mark them up with the alt text properly, and you have enough information about the photos and they're useful, those photos could end up in Google's image search, which will give you more exposure and also boost additional traffic to your site. So that's always good. What AI tools make good quality content and which ones make bad quality content? And do Google rate ChatGPT content as good? I mean, that's a good question. So I guess it really depends on what your needs are. I mean, there's so many AI tools out there, and a lot of them use, let's say, ChatGPT as kind of the foundation, the engine behind the scenes. And some use it and then add their own methods on top of that to further process the data. It really depends. I mean, what I would suggest, just try a few and see and test the same kind of prompt or the same kind of topic across them, and then use your judgment. Look at it. Is this good? Nah. Is this better? Yeah, that's great. Just test different ones, and then based on how you like using the tool, um, also like how easy it is to use, all of that comes into play as well. And again, Google rates the end content. So is it high quality? Is it useful? All of that. So if it meets Google's requirements of the EEAT standards, then it's great. If it doesn't, then it's not good. So again, that can be quite subjective, but it really depends on, yeah, it depends on looking at it and then thinking about your audience and does it meet their needs? And is it quality? Does it read human-like? Do I need to change it so it's in my tone of voice, things like that. John, yes, this is being recorded to review later. Absolutely. So I will upload it to YouTube tomorrow. And then what I'll do is I'll send an email out to everyone with the link. So just keep an eye out for that. Okay. John, I use chat to get ideas, taglines, etc., but write the content myself. Chat is my muse. Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's a great way to use AI, is to come up with some ideas to start with, and then use your own expertise and your own writing skills to come up with actual content. Okay, thanks, Adam, for your autopilot summary there. Awesome. Callum, have you seen any trends with customers that have been hit by the March 2024 update? To be fair, I haven't seen any, but I think the main thing there is just making sure that the content is more unique rather than just generic. And that's the main thing. It just needs to be helpful to your specific audience. So it's sometimes hard to tell, but there's been definitely studies that have been done, let's say, by if you check out like Search Engine Journal or Search Engine Land, there's some articles on like some studies that companies have done out there on specific updates with down to the metric charts and graphs and everything. Can I white label this slide deck and use for webinar or post on my site and social media? Let me get back to you on that, John. I need to ask a few people on the team if that's all right, but yeah, I'll get back to you on that. Or feel free to actually email me directly and then I can get back to you. So it's Gabriel@hikeseo.co. John, any recommendations on how to get into the new areas coming out in search generative experience, or maybe how to get ready? Yeah, I mean, this is a widely debated kind of topic, and a lot of people have fear about SGE because they feel like Google is going to completely get rid of or deprioritize actual rankings and stuff, actual SERP listings. And others actually like it and think it's a good thing because it could use the original content created by content creators, but source it and then cite it within the AI response. So it's hard to know exactly how it will develop or how it will impact everyone. I think the only way to find out is to let's see how it works out. But there's obviously two sides of that argument, really, about how SGE will affect businesses and website rankings. And my personal opinion is it will be a hybrid of the two. There'll always be the need for people to want to choose their own answer and their own search result. And there's others who want it handed to them on a silver platter, like AI, here's the answer, etc. So there's always both sides. So I think it will evolve into a hybrid solution. But let's see. Again, the future's unknown. Recommendations on how to get started with voice search. So yeah, that's a good question. So I mentioned earlier when I talked about voice search is that think about some of the phrases, some of the queries that people would use in your industry in that topic to search. So what would you ask, let's say Siri or any of the other voice assistants, what would you ask them to find out about that specific topic? And based on that, that can be a potential search term. And most likely they're question-based. But there's also, more direct approaches like find me the top 10 restaurants in London, for example. So it could be more like that. And then you might have to rephrase it so it's a bit more friendly, like top 10, restaurants. But then those keywords like find me the top, that kind of indicates that someone's directing a search command. So it kind of gives you a clue that this could be a search keyword, a voice keyword, for example. So yeah, go for longer phrase keywords, long tail keywords, especially question-based ones. And then you'll have a higher chance of showing up in kind of featured snippets, which are the little answer card at the top. And that can be sometimes, and voice assistants be the one featured. So anyone have any other questions before we wrap up? Or no? Okay. Oh, fantastic. Thanks, John. I'm glad that you found it helpful. Thanks, Alice. Awesome, awesome. Cool. Well, I'll aim to do one of these like at least every 6 to 12 months. So I have enough kind of updates to share with you guys in terms of what Google's been up to, and then kind of condense it down for you. Ulu, does that mean the keywords need to be optimized on page to rank for voice search? Yeah, basically voice search basically uses the AI, the assistant to find like text content, but then it reads it back. So yeah, you would create like an article or a section in the article like FAQs, and then you'd answer that question. And then if Google thinks it's relevant enough, it might feature that in a featured snippet or answer card or something like that. And then the voice assistant software might take that answer card, and if you're ranking in it, then it would be your specific content that it would share with the user. So yeah, just be specific, be concise when you're answering these questions. Cool, cool. Yep, no problem. You're welcome, Callum. Great. Well, if there's nothing else, I will wrap it up and I will upload the recording to YouTube tomorrow. I'll shoot a quick email over to all of you with a link as well.